Howdy, folks, and happy Monday. Matt here with Gulf Coast Fit, and it's Monday Fun Day. We know what that means. It's International Chest Day. Don't always follow that, but today I happen to be preparing myself for some bench press and some overhead pressing day for me. However, like a lot of people, like most gym folks that I know, shoulders are a little bit too tight and restricted to go right into all kinds of various overhead pressing movement patterns or even incline chest press movement patterns. So we're going to use the good old foam roller to prep the delts, anterior delts, medial delts, posterior delts. We're going to loosen up the pec minor a little bit and the lats behind our armpits here, superior portion of our lats. And all of this should help dramatically improve the mobility of my shoulders, of our shoulders, which will result in a better execution and a safer lift. Whether you're doing a barbell overhead press, dumbbell overhead press, machine overhead press, or any of those types of bench presses as well. So just to give you a little context here, I know this is first thing in the morning. I'm cold, I'm tight, I'm rocking the skullet. It's getting there. Let's see what the shoulder mobility is looking like right now before I've done anything. So to do that, I'm going to lay on my back, feet flat, knees bent. I'm going to kind of push my belly button and lower back into my mat. And then I'm going to bring my arms, thumbs up first, up overhead. And I'm going to see how far it goes. Well, these shoulders ain't going nowhere. See how far I am from the ground? And that's just my anatomy, not really my anatomy, it's my connective tissue and my muscles restricting my shoulders and my arms from going any further than this. And just giving it a little bounce here, I can feel that I'm restricted in my lats. Lots of paddling yesterday, that'll get your lats tight. And I can feel that I'm restricted here in my pec minor, lower part of my chest. And I can also feel that the back of my deltoids are restricting me as well. So we're going to hit anterior, medial, and posterior delts on the foam roller. But those three muscle groups that I mentioned that really hold me back. So let's see in just a few minutes, maybe 5-6 minutes, how much we can improve my overhead or shoulder mobility and how much that will translate into a more effective and safer lifting session, safer strength training session. So let's grab our roller, start facing you. We're going to hit the anterior delts first, and to do that, we're going to go hips up in the air, roller kind of down by our side, palm facing down, and then put some downward pressure onto the roller. Keep your palm facing down, palm is supinated. That way we open and expose the anterior delts a bit more because this externally rotates our shoulders. Keep it slow and steady and put as much pressure on as you can take. Now, we're not going to spend a great deal of time on each component, each muscle group, because rolling too much before a lifting session can have some detrimental effects. We just want to improve our mobility and range of motion. This is not really a recovery session. In that case, I might go 2 or 3 times as long on each area. I'm going to switch over to my left side now. Give you a little different angle here. So I'm really letting my body weight do the work here. Putting downward pressure onto the roller. Palm is still facing down. Really trying to put some pressure into the anterior deltoids, which, as we know, play a big role in any bench press, chest press exercise. One of the 3 major muscle groups, chest or pecs, triceps, and front delts primarily, working muscles. Now I'm getting between 10 and 15 reps. A decent amount of pressure here. All right. Now let's move on to the medial delts. To do this, we're gonna keep this piked hips up position but instead of palm down out wide, we're going to go palm facing up in between your legs. This internally rotates the shoulder, so now we can actually hit a little bit more of the medial deltoids, the mid delts. Again, we don't want to go too fast. Don't want to go very fast at all. And 10 to 15 reps is good for me. I don't want my muscles to become a bit lax by rolling them too much, which can happen. If you go spending 2-3 minutes rolling a muscle group before you lift, it can have some detrimental effects on the ignition, the recruitment of those fast twitch muscle fibers while you're trying to lift heavy. There's a place and a time. We're going for the enhanced range of motion and a little enhanced circulation. Blood flow helps our performance out as well. But just like static stretching, there's a place and a time. I love some static stretching, kind of yoga-esque stretching for recovery and flexibility. But I don't hold static stretches for very long, if at all, before a training or a lifting session, because it can have negative effects on muscle performance. Alright, nice. We're going to move right on to the posterior delt, back of the shoulders. This drifts into the triceps a little bit, also kind of runs into the superior portion of your lat insertion a little bit. That's A-okay. So, sideways here. I'm going to put this roller right under the back of my shoulder. And you see my hips are on the ground. That's fine. All we've got to do is give it a little shimmy on the posterior deltoids. You see as I'm rolling the back of my delts, kind of rotating internally and externally my arm, and that movement just feels natural for me to be able to get the most out of this rear delt roll. Alright, let's swap it up, left side for me. And hopefully you can see here how as I'm shimmying, I'm internally and externally rotating my shoulder and my arm. And that just helps me roll more of my posterior delts. And like I said, you go into a little bit of the triceps as well, the lateral head of your triceps. You also run into the lat insertion area behind your armpit, which actually is helpful for our purposes today. So you're trying to relax. I know it might make you tense up, might make you wince, grit your teeth, flex and contract and restrict, but try to keep the muscles that you're rolling relaxed. You know, we're massaging, and just like any massage, you want to try to disengage while you're addressing whatever muscle you're addressing. So let's go into the pec minor, under our armpits, meaty part of our pecs. Pec minor can really restrict overhead mobility as well. So get the leg face down, hips down. You're going to have the roller diagonally positioned, and you're going to get that right under your armpit. And you're going to keep the hips on the ground, and you're just going to shimmy the body in this kind of diagonal direction that the roller is facing. Get the big meaty portion of your pecs. Not so much the sternal portion of your pecs in the center of your chest. We're going for more of the lower pecs. And you might find when you do this, it does drift up into the anterior delt portion of your musculature. Nothing wrong with that. Switch it up. Oh yeah, gotta love it. Now I'm talking a lot, but your job is to breathe steady, deep, and kind of in rhythm with your rolling pattern. Nice, nice. All right. Gonna move on to the lats. Lats are big restrictors of overhead mobility. And like I said, I've been doing a lot of paddling and I've been doing a lot of pull-ups. Lats, I know, are very tight and heavily to blame for my lack of overhead range of motion this morning. So, I'm gonna position this roller perpendicular to your body. We're gonna start the roller kind of right behind your armpits. And I'm going to keep my hips on the ground for this. You might take your hips off the ground if you need more pressure, like if you've got a soft, spongy roller, or if you can just take the pain. But I've got a PVC roller and my lats are very tight and sore. So I'm going to keep my hips down. I'm just going to shimmy my upper body a few inches up, a few inches down along the latissimus dorsi. I like to hit different angles with the lats. I'm going to roll backwards a little bit more. Drifting into my mid traps a little bit, but still getting the lats pretty good. Lats are big muscle groups that span a lot of real estate on your posterior, so hitting it from different angles can be very necessary. All right, now I'm going to move on further up, right behind my armpit. This is usually the money spot for me. Kind of links up with the posterior delts. A little bit of the medial head keeps the triceps as well. Not a bad thing. Now something I like to do on the lats, and you know, rotator cuff muscles, external rotators are a little bit deeper in the mix there. I like to find my money spot when I'm doing lats, really, like where do I pinpoint the most necessary spot to target. There it is for me. And then I roll from front to back, kind of hitting it in a cross-sectional manner. Oh yeah. Oh. Find your spot. Might be a little lower on your lats. Could be right up close to your shoulder joint, posterior delts like me. And give it several rolls front to back. Hold that pinpointed spot, move your arm up and down. Little ART, active release technique. Active release technique is a whole nother can of worms that is extremely beneficial for your mobility enhancement. All right, so lats on my left side now. Start down here at this angle. I like to kind of support my head so my neck's not straining to keep my head up from this angle. Once again, you'll see I'm just shimmying up and down, keeping my hips on the ground. This is plenty of pressure for me this morning. Move down the lats a little bit more. I'm going to lean back a little more. and it might look like I'm kind of laying down flat, but I've actually got all my weight on the left side of my back. Going over the scapulas a little bit, getting a little bit of the traps in there. Alright, now I'm going to move it up to that cringy bullseye money spot here, right behind my shoulder. Yeah. Now this might look like a similar position, and it is, to when we were hitting our posterior delts, but that was up here. I'm really hitting right here. Oh, it's necessary. You know, if you find yourself wincing, gritting, try to relax. Try to let it go. Back to your breath, recommit. Relax your muscles. Deep, steady airflow. Alright, I'm going to find that. Oh, there it is. And I'm going to roll front to back. Oh, yeah. And this has a lot to do with the external rotator cuff muscles. Teres minor, infraspinatus. That might be what I feel back there. Probably is. All right, I'm going to find that bullseye, and I'm going to do a little bit of ART here. It's active release technique. That's when you put pressure on a spot that is very, it's barking at you. We'll put it that way. Keep the pressure on it, and you move your joint, manipulate your limbs while maintaining constant pressure on that spot, and that helps you release that restriction. Oh, now to finish up by giving it a few shoulder dislocates. Great mobility prep work for the shoulders. Let's give it like 5 dislocates. Something I really love about shoulder dislocates with bands especially is that it helps lengthen and stretchen your pec minor, which is something we just addressed. You can really help it, you can really feel it stretch the anterior delts. Another culprit of chest tightness from all the stuff we do, lots of dips, lots of push-ups, lots of paddling, rowing. All right, nice. Now I'm not going to have the best shoulder mobility in the world, I tell you, and this isn't gonna. I'm not going to finish my prep work for my bench and overhead work. I'm still going to do a little bit more of activation work, which will help enhance my mobility as well before I hit the weights hard. But let's go and see the improvement. If you remember before, my arms didn't get very far. I'm going to get down in that same position. Keep my belly button and lower back tucked to the ground. Oh my Lord, it's like night and day. And I'm not cheating here. I'm not just letting my back arch up like this, because you can artificially bring your shoulders back if you just let your back arch a lot, compensating for tight shoulders. I'm not doing this, keeping my back down to the ground. It's amazing. Do I have incredible shoulder mobility now? No. But I probably added about 10 degrees range of motion, give or take. Maybe more, maybe less. But it's like night and day. Now imagine trying to lift a heavy barbell over my head with the limited shoulder range of motion I had just 10 minutes ago. All right. If you can't get your arms up over your head, you got no business pressing heavy weights over your head. It's a recipe for disaster. So, much more prepped and ready now. Like I said, I've got some more stuff I'm going to do to get ready before I lift heavy, but that is a great start. Gotta stay safe, stay strong. Give it a go.